Kirsten Lythgoe, Unit 2, 1.3. So on this talk, I'm going to be talking about my bypass loppers here. The lower blade here is blunt and it bypasses the upper blade, which is sharp, and you use these to cut anything smaller than a 2p piece. So these are the handles, these are the blades, and this here is the cutting edge. Now you can see that I've used these loppers to cut branches, and they're quite dirty. And you need to keep that upper blade really sharp to be able to cut through things as well. So what I'm going to start off by doing is using a little bit of oil and some wire wool to get rid of any sort of dirt and rust, because as you're cutting through any green wood, there's tree sap in there, the branches could be wet, green wood's obviously alive, so you don't want any rust forming on your loppers. Another thing to bear in mind, just while I'm scrubbing this, another thing to bear in mind is when you are using your loppers, you should always make sure that this nut here is nice and tight, because if not, your loppers can drop open at any time if the joint here is loose, and then you're obviously exposing the cutting edge to potential fingers. So to protect yourself and others, always make sure that the nut is tight so that the handles stay together tight when you're not using them. So this here, what I'm using is just some spray on olive oil, so a nice organic oil, and some wire wool to lift off any dirt or rust. I'm going to flip them over, and this side here is also dirty and it's got bits dried on. It's always important to take care of the blades on the loppers. One, to keep them nice and sharp for cutting. Two, you don't want to be paying out for another pair if you take care of the pair that you've got. I'm never going to get every single mark off, but that's nice and clean there. So here is the cutting edge. I'm just going to hold my handle under my arm like this to secure it and hold this handle here. So this is the cutting edge here. Over time it will start to go blunt, and if you're cutting anything that's quite tough near any knots or anything, it can obviously cause a little bit of damage to the blade as well. So what I'm going to be using is I'm going to be using my oval sharpening stone like this that I used before. I'm going to open this wide, and you can see my blade there. I'll be holding it like this so you can, well, it's an easy angle for me. I'm going to be using this stone again, finger on the top, and I'm going to be using it in circular motions on that blade, looking for a nice high pitched noise again rather than low. Nice high pitched noise. Circular motions, just so you can get that blade nice and sharp and the cutting edge smooth with no dents. So ideally you want to do this, maybe not the sharpening but certainly the cleaning every time you use your loppers, just to stop them seizing up and to keep them in really good condition. And have a little check of the blade to see if it needs sharpening. The sharpening stone will create a little bit of dust that sticks to the blade, so again use your wire wool just to give it a little wipe clean. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to flip them over and put this handle under this arm. So this is still the cutting blade here. It's just flipped it over so I can sharpen the other side. This side of the blade here is flat, it's not sharp at all. So what I'll do again is use that sharpening stone in circular motions. Get that cutting edge nice and sharp. As you get towards the hinge here, where the blade meets the other part of the cutting edge, you might want to use the narrower part of the sharpening stone so you can reach in that area. Nice circular motions to keep the motion fluid and to create a nice consistent sharp cutting edge. Okay, again, I'll use my wire wool just to wipe any of that off. The cutting edge looks nice and clean. If you find you put too much oil on here and they're looking a bit wet, you can always use some paper towel to clean that off. But these are looking nice. Always check your handles to make sure the fixings are fine on both ends. No handles are loose, nuts nice and tight. And there you go, there's your loppers cleaned and sharpened.